Hey guys, yeah, it's another video, and in this video I'm going to be explaining how to create a PostgreSQL database using Docker. So in a recent video I explained authentication in Node.js, and we used PostgreSQL as a database, and we spinned up a database using Savala, a SaaS platform that helps you like create hosted databases, right? But the truth is, spinning up PostgreSQL with Docker is fast, it's free, and it's local, so you're fully in control, and you don't need internet access, you don't need a credit card, and yeah, you don't need to create an account on maybe a SaaS platform and all. So this is very good for when you are building, or when you are testing locally, or when you're just learning, right? So I thought to create a video that explains how you can create a PostgreSQL database locally with Docker, and it's easy. That's like the funny thing. So the first thing is you need to ensure you have Docker on your system. Now, a very easy way for you to do is to go to docker.com, and when you access the site, you can go to get started, and from get started you can download Docker relating to your system. So if you're using the Apple chip, you download this, or you download the Windows version, the Linux version, whatsoever, and you can like learn how to install it. Now once you have Docker installed on your system, one way for you to verify is to use the command docker -- version. And then if Docker is installed on your system, you're gonna see the version number, and you're gonna see like a code like this, right? So, and if it's not installed, this is not gonna appear, right? So when Docker is installed, some other things are installed like Docker Compose and all, right? But that's that. So the first thing, ensure you install Docker on your system. Now once you've installed Docker on your system, it's gonna install the desktop application. So that's something like this, and then here you'll be able to like see your containers, your images, your volumes, and everything like that. Now you may be concerned, what does container mean? What does images mean? I expect you have like basic understanding of Docker, but in case you don't, so just a very brief explanation. So let me start with images, right? So images are like in our case now we're going to be installing Postgres, right? So image is like a ready to go package that contains like a PostgreSQL database server, all the files and configurations that you need to run it. So it's like you can think of it like a template for creating a database server, right? While a container is like a running instance of that image. So when we add PostgreSQL the image, so we can have like a running instance of that Postgres image, and we can be able to like, so it's just like, say, take the official image and spin it up and like run it in an isolated environment, give it a name, and like add configurations and all. So for you to get images, you can create your own image, but you can like check Docker Hub. So Docker Hub is like a website. It's like a repository where a lot of images are uploaded publicly, so you can access them, official images and personally created images like. So in our case we need Postgres, so you can just search here, and if you don't want to search here, you can go to the Docker Hub website, and you can also search for Postgres like I did here, and then you see the official Docker image for Postgres. So just like what we see in the Docker application, so this is the official I'm gonna zoom this a little. Yeah, so this is the official Docker image. Now from here you can download any specific version you want. You can just pull it and run it directly. So once you pull it, it's gonna be added here as a container. So if I go here, if you don't want to do it that way, you can just copy this command, and since we have Docker installed on our system, once I run this command, it's gonna like, so I'm just gonna copy it. So most times I prefer the CLI method. So yes, I'm installing the latest version of Postgres. If you don't want to install the latest version, you can add like a version number behind like the image name, right? Now once all of this is completed, and we go to, once all of this is completed, and you go to images in Docker, it's expected. So I think it's not yet complete. We still see this moving here. Okay, yeah, this is complete. And then if you look here, you notice we now have we have Postgres here. Yeah, we have Postgres here, and it's the latest version. And yeah, you see everything about it. It's not yet running. If it's running, it's going to like show like a green mark here. But yeah, this is how you can add an image to your Docker. So it's an image. Now the next thing will be for you to spin up a project using the Postgres image that you already added to Docker, right? Now for you to do this, now one thing, if we go back to the image here, it added like some information that would be very useful, right? So for you to spin up a Postgres instance, so you can make use of this command. Now what this command is doing is so we have the Docker run Postgres. Now in the situation where you don't have Postgres installed already on your system, like the image, so this command is also going to help you install it. Like it's going to add it in case you don't have it added. But yeah, in our case we have it added, so it's not going to do that. But what it's, you may look at like all of this here. So what this is doing is specifying the name of the container, because like, you know, remember I said we have an image and then we're going to spin up a container. So this is the name of the container, and then you can pass environment variables for like the password. Yeah, and this is the only required, this is a required environment variable. There are other environment variables if you come to the environment variable section. So it tells you that this one is required for you to like add it, so you need to add the Postgres password. But there are other like the Postgres user, so this is like the user, and then we have the DB name. This is the database name for the PostgreSQL database you are spinning up, right? And then like, yeah, this is the password, so you add like the password. And then most times you like always run your Docker containers in a detached mode. Now why this is so is it lets your container run in the background. So instead of flooding your terminal with like logs, so Docker just starts the container and gives you feedback, gives you back like control immediately. So and then Postgres, yeah, which is like the which is the image, right? Which is the image, the official image that we are trying to like run, right? Now all of this command, if I take this command, if I copy this command and I go to my terminal and I clear and I run it, now I'm not changing anything. I'm just gonna leave it just the way it is, and I click enter. Now I think I was supposed to delete the $sign, right? Yeah, so when you run this, so yeah, when you run this, yeah, it gives you like this hash code. When you go to Docker and you go to container, you see we have been able to create a new a container, and you see the name of the container, some progress, the ID, and all of those kind of stuff. In case you don't want to keep coming to the desktop, you can confirm that this project was actually created, so using the Docker ps command. So when you run Docker ps, so you'll be able to see your containers. So here you see we're running the image. Sorry, let me try and expand this a little. So yeah, this is the image, it's a Postgres image. You see the container ID, which is like similar to what we have here now. And yeah, you see the image, which is Postgres, let me expand this also. I just shrink it, right? Yeah, and we see the name of the container. Yeah, so we see everything is running, and this is how to spin up. In this case, we have been able to like spin up a PostgreSQL database just by running this command, right? And then in your project, you can be able to like use this database and like, yeah, to make things work, right? another thing I'm going to touch on, but first of all, let me go to my Node.js project. So in my Node.js project here, this is the PostgreSQL database that was spinned up using Savala. I'm just going to comment that out. And now if you look at this second line here, so it gives you like a template, right, of what gives you it. Sorry. It gives you a template of like a URL, what a URL is. So first you have the PostgreSQL, and I think it should just be Postgres, right? Then this stands for like the user, so that's like the username. Like, so this is what we have here. Understand? Sorry, just this, right? Then the next thing is the password, which is this. Now this is the password, right? And then the next thing is the host. In our case, since it's local, it's going to be local host, right? And then the next thing is the port, and then the next thing is the database name. Now in our situation, in this our case, remember that we ran Docker run, just specifying the name of the container. So we did not specify the name of the database. We did not specify the username. We only specified the password, right? We only specified the password. So this kind of format is not going to work. So by default, you can, if you did not specify the username and the database name, you can make use of Postgres. You can just make use of Postgres for the user and for the database name, but you have to specify the password and you have to specify the host and the port, right? Now once you do all of this, you remember, so I can go back to my project and migrate the schema, because I'm making use of Prisma where I configured my schema, right? So I can migrate the schema so that like this is loaded. Now it's telling me it cannot reach my server localhost 5432. And I'm going to check here again, and the port I am using is, oh, looks like I did not specify any port. So let me check what the default port would be if you did not specify any port. But I think it just makes sense for us to specify a port, right? Okay, since I can't see any of that, right? So I'm going to modify the command. So I'm just going to stop I'm going to stop and remove the container that I created, and this is like another opportunity for you to like understand some Docker command. So we have this container running here. I'm going to like stop and remove it. For you to do this, you make use of the Docker rm for remove and the name of the container. Yep. Yeah, so with this, it's going to remove. So you see, we no longer have the container here. Now, one thing I was going to mention is about volumes, right? Now before we test the project, I think it just makes sense for me to mention about volumes. Now the command we ran earlier, right? Now it has a downside to it. Aside from the fact that we did not even specify the port and all, it had a downside to it because we did not specify volume. We did not specify where the let's say the data, every data around about the database should be stored, right? So in a situation where we just stop the container, we get to like lose all our configure everything about the database. We get to like lose the table, the values and all. We get to lose all of that. Now one way for you to avoid that is to like add like a volume to your container. So I'm going to delete this. I created this earlier. So it's like storing the data about like that database into like, it's like a way to persist the data between your containers, right? Now for you to do this, I'm going to like bring a more advanced command here. Now if you look at this command, it's just similar to the previous command. So Docker run, and then we are specifying the name of the container. So I'm just like breaking it into other lines. So all of this is not really important. It can be on the same line. And then here I'm specifying the environment. So that's the password, and I'm setting the password. And then using -p, I'm setting the port. And then using -v, I'm setting the volume to PV data, and I'm setting like the path where the data is going to be stored. And this is going to be handled by Docker. And then yeah, detached mode, and this is the container. And this is the image, right? This is the image. Now, when I run this, just like before, so this is the volume. The PG data volume is created. The container is created. And now, I think the port we're using is 5432, which is the same port. So now that we have all of this information, I can go back to my environment variable, and instead of, okay, so 5432, but we did not still specify the user and the database. Now you may be wondering how. So the way to specify that is just by adding more environment variables, right? Now since we have this, we can migrate the database again, and yeah, it's going to like create the SQL commands and all. Now if you spin up the studio and Prisma Studio, so we're going to see a database created for us. Now you can see this is like all the information from the schema, and this has been added to the Postgres database that we just created. Now you can add data to the database and all those kind of things. I think I can just do that briefly. So this is a sign up, and yeah, I previously ran this, but I can run it again, and it is throwing an error, and I think I'm getting this error because the project is not running. So I got to run npm run dev. Now that the project is running, I can spin it up again, and yeah, so I can go back to the database and reload, and we get to like see the user. So we're using the database. Now this case, since we added the volume, if I go back to my terminal and I stop and I remove the Postgres SQL, the container, if I remove the container, or if I stop the container, any one of them. So if I stop, and now let me just stop and remove the container. So when we go back to Docker, we no longer see the container, but we still have the volume here, right? Now if I come back and I create another container, another PostgreSQL database using that same volume. So if I still spin up using that same volume, as long as this volume is set, right, using the same volume, we'll still have access to that data. So this but unfortunately, we'll still have access to data. You see the data started running again. Okay, this is the container, and then if we go to the volume, you see it's already running again. And so yeah, all our data will still be intact. So if I refresh, I still have the data, and then I can come back to Postman, and then maybe I just adjust this a little, and I send, and then I come back here and I run. We still see like the previous data still persists and all like that. Yeah. Now I was going to like show you another method for you to spin up a PostgreSQL database in case you don't want to keep running commands over and over. You don't want to cram these commands. You don't want to like have to like keep running unfamiliar commands and all over and over. Now one way for you to do this is using Docker Compose. So Docker Compose is great because it like keeps your setup clean. You can like add this to your project, and in a situation where you want to Dockerize your project, for example in a Node.js project, in your Node.js application, you may want to Dockerize your app, add services like Redis, or in case you are using like maybe a PG admin, but in this case we are using Prisma. Yeah, so it makes all of that easy. So all you just have to do is to go to the root of your project and create a Docker compose file. So that was gonna be like Docker compose Docker slash docker-compose.yml file. Now if you go back to the official configuration, it was telling us that aside from using this, you can also make use of PSQL, or you can make use of Docker Compose. Now it gave us like this that you can add to your Docker Compose file. Now we don't need this, but in case you want to set up admin, you can easily set it up within the Docker Compose file. And if you want to dockerize your application, you could even like set up all the whole commands and everything in the in your Docker file, right? And then so here it just shows us like where, so you can set you can specify the image, you can specify volumes and all. Yeah, so I'm just going to paste my own code. So going back to the code, I'm just going to paste this. And yeah, so basically we have the version, we have the image. Now I'm specifying the name of the container, and then I'm specifying my environment variable. This time around I'm specifying the user, the password, the database name, right? And then I'm specifying the port and then the volume. Now first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to and delete the volume that I created, but I think it is running, right? So I need to first stop it. Yeah, so I stop it and then I'm able to delete it. And then the container is no more here. I still have my Postgres image, right? Now I can come back here and yeah, so we are setting the volumes to, yeah. So with all of this, when you save this file, so no need for you to continue having to like type a lot of command into your terminal. Now for you to start this, you just have to like use the docker compose up command and make sure you set it up in a detached mode. So I'm going to spin up another terminal, right? And then so you're just going to make use of docker compose in the root of your project up-d, and with this, once you run this command, it's going to create the volume. Now is attaching the root of our project. The name of our project is auth API. So yeah, just attaching that. Then it created the container using the container name that we created here. And now when you go back here, you see container. The container is created. When you go to volumes, the volume is created, and we can plug it to our environment variable. So we can come here, we can comment this out and make use of this earlier one. Now the user is my user, and the password is my password, and the host is localhost. So I'm just going to copy this and just replace it with the host and port, and then the database name is my DB, and just come here and change it. Now with all of this, we need to still migrate the database again. So I'm just gonna stop this. I'm going to stop this, and then now that we have a new database, I'm going to migrate, and password. Oh, looks like I've made a mistake, right? So oh, sorry. This is meant to be, the host is meant to be localhost. And then the port is meant, I think something scattered, right? Yeah. So it's meant to be localhost and this, right? And that was what I planned, thought of putting here. Yeah, exactly. And then this is my DB, right? Yeah, so we can migrate again. And yeah, everything should be set now. And when we open Prisma Studio, yeah, it's going to spin up a new Prisma Studio. So this was the previous one. We can just close it. Now this is the new one. And you notice we don't have any data in this new database, right? And then we can go to our project. And so since in the Node.js project, I'm going to, since we edited the environment variable, so I'm just going to kill and like run it again. And then if I go back to Postman and I run Yeah, so when I come back here and I reload, you notice the data is added. Now this is very advantageous. And also another thing you may want to you may want to keep in mind is, if you want to yeah, so if you want to stop the container, or if you want to stop and remove the container, so just like we saw before, you know, the container is running now. If you want to do that from the terminal, so you can just make use of the docker compose down command. So docker compose down, right? And this way you'll be able to, like, when you go back to Docker, you notice that the container is no longer there, but you still have your volume. And then when you spin up the project again, all your files still exist, right? But you can also delete the volumes by ensuring you attach the -- volumes flag to the command. So here now, here, if I attach this, is going to delete the volume. Now in this video I've been able to, like, explain how to spin up PostgreSQL database using Docker and set it up in your Node.js project, and I hope I've been able to explain a lot of things. Now yeah, and that's all. In case you want to learn about authentication, I created a video, that's like the previous video before this one. I'm going to link it. You can check it out. I was vibe coding, and I was explaining all of this through the help of ChatGPT as the AI model. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.